Parents rewarded my sister's promotion with a Tesla. Mine earned a thumbs up emoji. I didn't bother responding until her boyfriend spotted me at a luxury car showroom. The text came in at exactly 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Just a single thumbs up emoji. That was it. No congratulations. No, we're proud of you. Not even a lazy good job. Just that little yellow thumb pointing upward, like a half-hearted pat on the head you'd give a dog for sitting on command. I sat there in my apartment, staring at my phone screen, still wearing the same suit I'd had on earlier for the promotion announcement. 31 years old and officially the youngest person in the company's history to become senior marketing director. A six-figure salary, my own office, my own team. And all I got from my parents was an emoji that probably took less energy to send than it took me to read it. The kicker? 3 days before, my sister Lily had gotten promoted to account manager at her firm. Don't get me wrong, it was decent news. Her first promotion in 2 years, but it came with a modest raise that maybe put her around 70 grand. My parents bought her a Tesla, a brand new Model Y, $60,000, delivered to her building with one of those massive red bows on top, like something out of a luxury car commercial. Then they plastered it all over Facebook with a caption that made me want to toss my phone out the nearest window. So proud of our Lily. Nothing but the best for our girl. She works so hard and deserves everything. I got a thumbs up emoji. And honestly, this wasn't anything new. When you grow up as the younger sibling to someone who's been golden since the day she was born, you learn to develop a thick skin for disappointment. But there's thick skin, and then there's scar tissue. And I was starting to realize I didn't have much regular skin left. Lily's 3 years older than me, and she's always been the favorite. Not subtly, not in that quiet, hard-to-prove kind of way. No, in our family it was blindingly obvious, lit up like a neon sign. She was the miracle baby, the one mom finally had after years of trying. I was the surprise that came 3 years later. We weren't planning on another, but here we are kid. Mom used to tell that story at parties like it was charming. We had our perfect little family with Lily, and then Jack just showed up. Life's funny that way. Yeah, hilarious. Lily was the artistic one, and I was the logical one. She was creative, I was practical. She was passionate, I was there. Every part of my personality seemed to exist in contrast to hers, like I'd been written into her story as a supporting role. And the thing was, Lily wasn't even mean about it, which somehow made it worse. She was genuinely kind, the type to remember birthdays and actually listen when people talked. So I couldn't even properly resent her. I was stuck in this weird space where I loved my sister but hated everything she represented. When Lily got into college, my parents threw a party. When I got into college, a better one, actually, they just said, "That's great, honey," and went back to their show. When Lily graduated, they flew across the country to be there. When I graduated, they mailed me a card with a $50 check. Later, I found out they'd actually been visiting Lily that same weekend. 2 hours away. They just didn't bother to drive over. I tried not to keep score. Really, I did. But when you keep getting the short end of the stick, eventually you start measuring the damn stick. Mom used to tell me I was being dramatic. "Jack, you're too sensitive. We love you both equally. We're just more emotionally compatible with Lily. She needs more support." Emotionally compatible, like we were Bluetooth devices trying to sync. The worst part wasn't even the favoritism. It was how they made me feel crazy for noticing it. We got Lily that car because she needed reliable transportation for work. Right, because my 15-year-old Honda Civic, the one whose check engine light had been glowing since the Bush era, apparently didn't count. We helped with her apartment deposit because she was struggling. I'd been sleeping on a buddy's couch for 3 months, but that was just me being irresponsible. There was always a reason, always an excuse, anything but the truth. The truth being that they just loved her more. That would have been too honest. So when I got promoted, I made the mistake of thinking maybe this time would be different. Maybe this was finally big enough, impressive enough, to make them proud. I called them that morning, right after the announcement. Dad picked up. "Hey Dad, I've got some good news. I just got promoted to senior marketing director." "Oh, that's nice. What does that mean exactly?" "It means I'm running the entire marketing department now. Youngest person to ever do it." "Well, good for you. Hey, did your sister tell you about her new car?" "One of those electric ones, pretty fancy." That was the whole conversation. 30 seconds, maybe. Then he passed the phone to Mom, who said she couldn't really talk, because she was busy getting ready for Lily's celebration dinner but would call me later. She never did. Just sent the thumbs up emoji 8 hours later, probably while sitting at Lily's dinner table, surrounded by family friends who'd driven from 3 states away to celebrate her big accomplishment. I sat alone that night, suit jacket draped over the couch, tie loosened, staring at that stupid emoji. And something inside me just cracked. Not in a dramatic way. It was more like finally acknowledging something that had already been broken for years. I didn't reply, didn't call, didn't text. Just left it there, read and ignored. The next day, Lily called. "Hey, Jack. Mom said you got promoted?" That was great, at least she asked. "Yeah," I told her, "senior director now." "That's awesome. We should celebrate," she said. "Maybe dinner this week?" "I'd love to." I lied, "But things are crazy with the new role." "Rain check?" "Of course," she said. "Hey, did you see my new car? It's insane. I can't believe Mom and Dad did that." "Yeah," I said. "I saw the Facebook post." "I feel so spoiled," she laughed. "They said they wanted to do something special for my promotion. I told them it was too much, but you know how they are." The thing was, I didn't know how they were. That was the whole problem. "I'm happy for you, Lily," I said, my voice steady but flat. "Listen, I've got to run, work stuff." We hung up, and she probably didn't think twice about it. Why would she? In her world, everything made sense. Parents loved their kids, celebrated their successes, treated them equally. She lived in a completely different version of reality than I did. Over the next few weeks, my parents called a few times. I let every call go to voicemail. They texted to ask if everything was okay. I sent back short, polite replies, busy with work. Lots of meetings. We'll call soon. But I never did. Lily texted more often. "You okay? Mom's worried. Dad says you've been distant." Then, finally, did something happen? Nothing happened. That was the point. Nothing ever happened for me, and I was done pretending that was normal. By the second month, their calls started tapering off. By the third, they'd all but stopped. Lily still reached out once in a while, but even she seemed to accept the idea that I was just busy. They all believed their own version of the story, that I was caught up in work, instead of the truth, which was that I'd finally decided to stop chasing a family that had never really seen me. And the wildest part? I actually felt better. Lighter. Like I'd been lugging around a backpack full of rocks labeled "try harder" and "maybe this time." And I'd finally set it down. I threw myself into work. The new position demanded a lot, but for once, the effort felt worth it. My team respected me. My boss trusted my ideas. My coworkers treated me like I mattered. Imagine that. I also started spending money on myself, not recklessly, just intentionally. I got a nice apartment in a good part of town, furnished it with pieces that didn't come from Craigslist, and started eating at restaurants where the menus didn't have pictures. I even started saving, not for anything specific, just because I could. Because for the first time, I had enough to build a life that was mine. 6 months in, I met Rachel at a networking event. She was a pharmaceutical rep, sharp, funny, and unfiltered in a way that disarmed me. She had this habit of calling out my self-deprecating humor, like she could see straight through the act. "Why do you do that?" she asked after I made a joke about being the forgettable corporate guy. "Do what?" I said. "Put yourself down. You're a senior director at 31. That's impressive. Own it." No one had ever told me to own anything before. We started dating soon after. She met Lily once, purely by chance, when we bumped into her at a coffee shop. Later, Rachel said, "Your sister seems sweet, but she talks about your parents a lot. You guys not close?" "It's complicated," I told her, which is what you say when the real answer is no, but you don't want to unpack it. She got it, though. By the 1-year mark, my life looked nothing like it used to. New apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline. A wardrobe that actually fit. A confidence that came from being respected at work and loved by someone who didn't make me feel like I had to prove I was worthy of it. Rachel and I moved in together after 8 months. It felt fast, but it also felt right. She understood my family dynamic without me having to explain it every time. Her parents had divorced when she was a kid, remarried other people, and she'd grown up bouncing between 2 homes that barely tolerated each other. Different mess, same lesson. You learn to build your own life. Some nights, we'd stay up late talking about the past. I'd tell her about my family, and she'd listen, really listen, without trying to fix it or justify it. One night she asked, "Do you miss them?" I thought for a second. I miss the idea of them, I said. I miss having parents who'd actually be proud of me. But the actual people? Not so much. That's fair, she said. Is it bad that I don't miss them? Jack, she said gently. They sent you a thumbs-up emoji when you got the biggest promotion of your career. You're allowed not to miss people who made you feel invisible. The funny thing about going no contact is that you expect fireworks, a confrontation, a big scene, a moment of closure. But it wasn't like that. It was just quiet. Them living their lives, me living mine, and the space between us growing wider and easier to accept. Lily tried the hardest to keep the connection alive. She'd text every few weeks, upbeat as ever. Miss you at Sunday dinner. Mom made your favorite pot roast. Wish you were here. Dad asked about you today. I'd reply with vague politeness. Sounds great. Tell them I said hi. Been slammed with work. After a year, even Lily's messages started fading. She probably decided I was just busy or going through some phase I'd snap out of eventually. Meanwhile, work was thriving. My department hit every target 3 quarters in a row. I earned a bonus bigger than my first year's salary. Other companies started reaching out, better titles, higher pay. I didn't take any of them, but it felt damn good to be wanted. Rachel got promoted too, to regional sales director, and we celebrated by booking a trip to Italy. That's something the old me would have found an excuse to skip. Old Jack would have saved every dime, just in case, and felt guilty spending money on something as frivolous as joy. But new Jack? He booked the tickets without hesitation. We were planning that trip when Rachel said something that had been on my mind too. I've been thinking about getting a new car, she said. My lease was ending in 2 months, and honestly, I couldn't wait to get rid of that sedan. It was fine, reliable, comfortable, but painfully dull. I want something fun this time, Rachel said. What are you thinking? An Audi? A BMW? Funny thing was, I'd been thinking about cars too. My old Honda Civic had finally given up for good. The check engine light had graduated from polite warning to full-on engine failure. I'd been deep in research mode for weeks, comparing specs, reading reviews, telling myself I'd pick something practical. But sitting there next to Rachel, scrolling through glossy images of luxury cars on her laptop, something in me shifted. What if we went bigger? I asked. She raised an eyebrow. Bigger how? Like, really nice. The kind of car people dream about. She smirked. Jack Miller, are you suggesting we buy impractical luxury vehicles? Maybe. Is that crazy? A little, she said. But I kind of love it. What are you thinking? I opened a tab I'd been secretly visiting every few nights. Porsche. Her eyes widened. Porsche? Like Porsche? There's only one kind of Porsche, Ratch. She laughed, but her fingers were already scrolling through the models. A 911, she asked. Too flashy, I said. I was thinking a Taycan. It's electric, practical, but still a Porsche. Practical, she repeated, grinning. He says about a Porsche. But she was smiling now, that spark of excitement lighting her face. We spent the next hour like a couple of kids building dream cars online, clicking through colors and packages we both knew were ridiculous. We're not really doing this, right? She said after a while, though her tone wasn't entirely convincing. Why not? I asked. We can afford it. You just got promoted. I got that bonus. We work hard. Why shouldn't we enjoy it? Because people like us don't buy Porsches, she said. What does that mean, people like us? I don't know. Normal people. Not rich people. We're not rich, I said, but we're doing well. There's a difference between being irresponsible and letting yourself enjoy what you've earned. She looked at me for a long second, then smiled. When did you get so confident? About a year ago, I said. Around the time I stopped trying to make people who didn't care about me proud. That weekend, we went to the dealership. Just to look, we told ourselves. Just to see them in person. The Porsche showroom was everything you'd expect. Polished concrete floors, bright spotlights, cars displayed like artwork, salespeople in suits sharp enough to cut glass. A man in his 40s with perfect hair and a polished smile approached us. Welcome to Porsche, he said. I'm Marcus. Are you folks looking for anything specific today? Just browsing, I said, which was really code for, we're not buying, but we want to pretend for a bit. Of course, he said smoothly. Take your time. Let me know if you have any questions. He stepped back, and I liked that. No pressure. We wandered the showroom, sitting in cars that cost more than I'd made in a year, checking price tags that made my palms sweat. Rachel slid into the driver's seat of a Taycan Turbo S. Jack, you have to feel these seats. I climbed in beside her. The car smelled like leather and money and possibility. We could actually do this, she whispered. Yeah, I said. We could. Should we? She asked. I thought of my parents buying Lily a $60,000 Tesla for a promotion half the size of mine. Thought about the thumbs-up emoji. Thought about every time I'd been told to be practical, responsible, grateful. Yeah, I said finally. I think we should. Marcus appeared like he'd sensed it from across the room. Beautiful car, isn't it? He said. The Turbo S models are the top of the Taycan line. 750 horsepower. 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. What's something like this cost? I asked, trying to sound casual. This one, with the full options package? $185. Rachel's eyes widened. My stomach did a flip, but I didn't show it. And a base Taycan? I asked. Base starts around 90. Still incredible, just fewer performance features. We talked specs, financing, trade-ins. Marcus was good, charming, informed, not pushy. After about an hour, we stepped outside to talk it over, which is what you say when you're trying to convince yourself it's okay to do something a little reckless. We can't spend $90,000 on a car, Rachel said. Why not? I asked. Because that's insane. We could finance it. Payments would be, what, $1,500 a month? We spend more than that on rent. That's different. How? She didn't answer, and honestly, I didn't have one either. But standing there in that parking lot, with the sunlight bouncing off rows of luxury cars, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, a simple, defiant joy. The urge to do something because I wanted to, not because it made sense. Let's do it, I said. She blinked. Really? Really? We went back in. Marcus smiled like a man who'd seen this 1,000 times. So what are we thinking? The base Taycan, I said, but with some extras. 2 hours later, we built the perfect car, custom color, upgraded wheels, tech package, the total just over $110,000. Not the Turbo S, but definitely not conservative either. When would you like to take delivery? Marcus asked. How soon can we get it? Custom build like this? 8 to 10 weeks. Perfect. We signed the papers, did the credit checks, left a deposit. The rational part of my brain was screaming that this was reckless, that I'd regret it. But a louder voice drowned it out. You earned this. You deserve this. Buy the damn car. As we wrapped up, Marcus handed me his card. Congratulations, he said. This is going to be an incredible vehicle. You made a great choice. Outside, Rachel grabbed my hand, laughing. Did we just buy a Porsche? We ordered a Porsche. I corrected. There's a difference. Oh my God, your parents are going to freak out. They don't know, I said. You're not going to tell them? Why would I? They haven't asked about my life in over a year. They don't get to know. She squeezed my hand. Fair enough. 8 weeks later, I got the call. My car was ready. Rachel's too. We'd both ordered one, different colors, different specs. We picked them up the same day, a dramatic synchronized arrival that felt perfectly over the top. Driving home in a 6-figure electric car, I kept waiting to feel regret, guilt, something. But all I felt was peace. Instead of guilt, all I felt was this deep, satisfying calm, like I'd finally allowed myself to enjoy the success I'd spent years working for. That peace lasted exactly 3 days. Then fate decided to have a laugh. I was sitting at a coffee shop near my apartment when I heard someone say my name. Miller? Jack Miller? I looked up. Jake, Lily's boyfriend. Nice enough guy, though he always gave off that slightly awkward vibe people get when they know they're dating the family favorite. Life really does have cruel timing. 2 years of keeping to myself, and I get spotted by the one person guaranteed to report back. He glanced past me, out the window, then back. Wait, don't tell me that's your Porsche out there. The black Taycan? My car was parked right out front. Impossible to miss. Yeah, I said. That's mine. His jaw dropped. You bought a Porsche? Those things cost, what, $100,000? Give or take, I said. The funny thing about driving a car like that is how people react. Their faces tell you everything they used to assume about you. Jake looked like I'd just admitted to robbing a bank. The unspoken message was clear. Asterisk, guys like you don't drive cars like that. Asterisk, he sat down without asking. Man, Lily said you were doing okay, but she didn't mention Porsche money. Your parents must be over the moon. There it was, the assumption that of course I'd told them, that of course they were proud. They don't know, I said. His eyebrows shot up. Why not? How do you sum up a lifetime of emotional neglect in a coffee shop? My parents and I don't really talk anymore. Right? Yeah, he said slowly. Lily mentioned you kinda drifted. I didn't drift, I said, keeping my voice even. I made a conscious decision to step back. They spent my whole life treating me like I was less important than my sister. He hesitated, trying to sound diplomatic. That seems a little harsh. They bought Lily a $60,000 Tesla when she got promoted. They sent me a thumbs-up emoji for mine. That's not harsh. That's math. He tried to chuckle it off. Maybe they just show love differently. I laughed for real then. Yeah, they showed love to Lily with a Tesla and to me with digital clip art. That's when he pulled out his phone. She's gonna want to know about this. Jake, I said, before you text her, there's something you should understand. I'm happy. I've built a good life, but I'm not interested in suddenly becoming family again just because I have something they can brag about. He hesitated, then sent the text anyway. Within seconds, my phone started buzzing. Lily, Jake said he saw you. You have a Porsche? Call me right now. Then another. Why didn't you tell us you were doing so well? That one made me laugh. Why didn't I tell them? Maybe because in 2 years, they'd never once called to ask. They'd rather assume I was struggling. It fit their story better. My phone started ringing. Asterisk Lily. Asterisk I declined it. She's worried about you, Jake said. She's had 2 years to be worried, I replied. The screen lit up again. Asterisk mom. Asterisk I just stared at it, feeling nothing. No anger, no sadness, not even satisfaction. Just emptiness. You're not going to answer? Jake asked. No. The call went to voicemail. Then came a text. Asterisk Jack, Lily told us about your car. We need to talk. Call us. Asterisk not congratulations. Not we're proud. Just we need to talk. Like I was a teenager who'd been caught doing something wrong. More messages rolled in. Asterisk we heard about the car. Let's discuss this like adults. Asterisk adults. Asterisk right. Adults who once sent their son a thumbs-up emoji. Sure. Let's be adults. Jake was still watching me ignore the flood of notifications. This is kinda cold, man. You know what's cold? I said, gathering my things. Buying your daughter a Tesla and sending your son a thumbs-up emoji. I stood. When Lily asks, tell her I'm happy. Tell her I've built a life I'm proud of. But tell her I'm not interested in rejoining the family now that I've got something worth showing off. I left, walked to my Porsche, and drove home in near silence. The hum of the motor almost meditative. Every time I drove it, the same two thoughts alternated. Asterisk this is insane. I own a Porsche. Asterisk then, asterisk no, I earned this. Asterisk Rachel was home, cooking dinner. She took one look at me. What happened? I told her everything. Jake, the sighting, the texts, all of it. She listened quietly, no advice, no interruptions. So they know now, she said. They know now. My phone buzzed on the counter like a restless insect. Message after message, call after call. 2 years of silence shattered by a single car sighting. You gonna talk to them? She asked. I watched the screen light up again. Asterisk mom calling. Asterisk third time in an hour. A new family record. Eventually, I said. But not because they suddenly decided I'm worth their time. Rachel slipped her arms around me. You know what's next, right? They'll want back in. They'll show you off. Suddenly, you'll be the golden child. She wasn't wrong. Suddenly, I'd be invited to family dinners. Suddenly, my accomplishments would make the Facebook feed. Not because they'd changed, but because now I had something shiny they could claim credit for. What do you want to do? She asked. I looked down at my phone, at the cascade of unread messages, at 2 years of nothing suddenly turned into noise. I want them to understand, I said. Not just apologize to make it go away. I want them to get it, what they did. Rachel frowned softly. That might not be possible. I know, I said. But I'm done pretending things are fine just because they decided I'm finally worth noticing. Another buzz. A new voicemail from Lily. I hit play on speaker. Hey, Jack. It's me. Mom and Dad are freaking out. Jake said you were really cold, and no one knows what's going on. Please call me back. We're worried. We love you. Asterisk we love you. Asterisk as if love had been there all along, steady and unconditional, instead of a switch they flipped when it was convenient. Rachel watched me set the phone down. What are you thinking? She asked. I think it's time they saw what I've built, what I made without them. Not over the phone, not where they can talk circles around me. In person, where they have to actually see it. You want to invite them over? Eventually. But first, I want them to sit with this. Sit with the fact that I've been here the whole time, succeeding, and they missed it because they couldn't be bothered to look. Is that cruel? She asked. Is it cruel to let people experience consequences? I said, that's just reality. My phone lit up again. Asterisk dad. Asterisk the message read. Asterisk this behavior is unacceptable. You owe your mother a call. Asterisk I showed it to Rachel. She laughed. Well, she said, at least they're consistent. The audacity of it all. 2 years of silence from them. And somehow, I'm the one behaving unacceptably. I typed a reply, deleted it, typed again. Finally settled on. Asterisk I'll be in touch when I'm ready. Asterisk sent it to all three, then muted the thread. There. Ball's in my court now. And for the first time in my life, that's exactly where I wanted it. For 3 days, I ignored the buzzing phone and watched their messages pile up. Calls, texts, voicemails. By day 4, I decided it was time to talk, but not to them. I texted Lily. Asterisk coffee? Asterisk her response came in less than 30 seconds. Asterisk yes. When? Where? Asterisk we met at a neutral cafe halfway between our places. She was already there when I walked in, looking uneasy, like she wasn't sure whether to smile or brace for impact. Jack, she said, half rising from her seat. The hug we exchanged was awkward, somewhere between polite and hesitant. You look different, she said. 2 years'll do that, I replied. She fiddled with her coffee cup. I didn't realize you were actively avoiding us. I just thought you were busy. I wasn't avoiding you, I said. I was done chasing. Chasing what? She asked, genuinely puzzled. I looked at her, really looked, and saw that she truly didn't understand. Do you remember when I got promoted to senior director? Yeah, that was awesome, she said. Do you remember what Mom and Dad did to celebrate? She frowned, trying to remember. Did we go out to dinner? They sent me a thumbs-up emoji, I said flatly. That was it. 3 days before that, they bought you a $60,000 Tesla. Her face fell. That can't be right. You didn't know, I said. Because you never had to. Everything was always easy for you. That's not fair, she said quietly. When's the last time you had to wonder if Mom and Dad loved you? When's the last time you accomplished something and got silence in return? She had no answer. I'm not angry at you, Lil, I said. But I'm done pretending it didn't hurt. I'm done being the disappointment they measured you against. You're not a disappointment, she said. To them I was, I said. Until Jake saw my car. Now, suddenly, I matter. Not because I changed, but because I have proof of success they can't ignore. Tears welled up in her eyes. What do you want? She asked. I want them to understand what they did. Not just apologize to smooth things over. I want them to actually get it. We talked for another hour. When we finally stood, she hugged me like she meant it this time. I'm sorry, she said, for not seeing it. Are you going to talk to them? Eventually, I said. On my terms. 2 weeks later, I invited my parents to dinner at my apartment. They showed up early, overdressed, stiff, nervous. Mom wore her Sunday church outfit. Dad had on his funeral tie. Rachel stepped out from the bedroom and smiled warmly. Hi, I'm Rachel. You must be Jack's parents. Mom blinked. We didn't know Jack was seeing anyone. 2 years now, Rachel said. We lived together. Another milestone they'd completely missed. Dinner was uncomfortable, polite to the point of suffocating. We talked about the weather, traffic, work, anything except the giant silence sitting at the table with us. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. Jack, we need to address this, he said. You cut us off for 2 years without explanation. Without explanation? I said, incredulous. I gave you one. You just didn't want to hear it. The thumbs-up thing, Mom said, waving a hand. You're still holding a grudge over a text? Not the text, I said evenly. What it represented. A lifetime of being the spare kid. That's not true, Mom protested weakly. You bought Lily a Tesla, I said. You sent me an emoji. That's not a grudge, that's a pattern. Dad shifted uncomfortably. We gave her that car because she needed transportation. So did I said. I drove a 15-year-old Civic for 3 years. You never offered help. You never asked, he said. I shouldn't have to, I said. That's what parents asterisk do. Asterisk, the room went still. Rachel reached under the table and squeezed my hand. We didn't realize you felt this way, Mom said softly. Because you never asked, I said. In 2 years, not one of you picked up the phone. You didn't want to know how I felt. You just assumed I'd come back when I was ready to be the quiet, grateful son again. We thought you needed space, Dad said. No, I replied. You thought I'd come crawling back. But I didn't. And when I built a life without you, that scared you. His face flushed red. We're your parents, he said tightly. We'll always be necessary. I shook my head. You'll always be my parents. But being necessary? That's something you have to earn. Mom's eyes filled with tears. What do you want from us? Nothing, I said. That's what you don't understand. I don't need your approval. I just need you to admit that you treated Lily better, and that it hurt. There was a long silence. Finally, Dad spoke. We did treat her differently, he admitted. She needed more from us. So you gave me less and called it independence, I said. But I needed you too. At my graduation. At my promotion. You just weren't there. So I stopped asking. That's not independence. That's survival. Mom reached across the table, tentative. What happens now? I don't know, I said. Maybe we rebuild. Maybe we don't. But if we do, it's going to be different. Boundaries. Honesty. No pretending. They left about an hour later. No dramatic tears. No big reconciliation. Just the quiet understanding that something had cracked open. When the door closed, Rachel and I stood by the window watching their car pull away. How do you feel? She asked. Lighter, I said after a moment. Sad, but lighter. My eyes drifted to the Porsche keys on the counter, then to her. They spent my whole life making me feel like I wasn't enough, I said. Turns out, I was always enough. They just weren't looking. Rachel kissed my temple. Their loss. Maybe one day we'd find our way to being a real family again. Maybe not. Either way, I'd be fine. Because I'd finally built something better than their approval. I'd built myself.